Hello and welcome back to Perpetual News. Today I'm going to do another election prediction and I'm going to kind of see what I think the results of Tim Walz being the VP versus Josh Shapiro being the VP versus Andy Beshear being the VP. And of course, my personal pick for VP, J.B. Pritzker. I talked a little bit about this a couple of episodes ago, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. Thank you for all of the support so far, and let's get to it. If we're being honest here, we have the same states that we will always have when it comes to, you know, we won't always have, but for the time being, we will always have these same states voting in the same ways, right? You know, and I noticed a couple of episodes ago I actually got the polling wrong for Maine. Maine's second district usually goes red. I didn't realize I had clicked that, and I have, of course, blundered a little bit through that, so sorry about that. But, alas, now it is fixed. And this is generally what the map will look like if Democrats get everything that they want. Normally, everything that they want is not good enough. So let me show you what they really need to do here, and show you all what's going on with the recent polling data as well as the recent happenings within the election cycle here. First of all, I want to talk about briefly Kamala Harris's campaign event that she had in Atlanta, Georgia, where she brought out several huge, pop and rap and hip hop stars such as Quavo and Megan Thee Stallion and a couple others as well. They also played "Not Like Us" by Kendrick Lamar, and that really, got her supporters, cheery. Let's just say that. Anyway, let's start. Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota. He is very well liked. He has a lot of things that a lot of people like him for. He is very much liked in his state. He helped give free food for lunch and breakfast for children in school in Minnesota. Workers like him. He is by all means the furthest left-winged person in the vice presidential race. Then there is Josh Shapiro, who is a very well-spoken governor of Pennsylvania, very well liked among his state. The only problem I see with him, really so far, is he's a little bit further right to Kamala Harris on the issue of Israel-Palestine, as well as he himself has only been governor 1 year from his state. Now, Andy Beshear is, of course, the governor of Kentucky, which I do not foresee going blue in the presidential election. So how does he actually bring something to the ticket? Well, we'll get to that. Of course, my pick is J.B. Pritzker. I've said this for a long time, that J.B. Pritzker should definitely be the VP nominee. In fact, I wish I could have him as the presidential nominee. I am from Illinois. I've said this before. He is always good about everything he does. So let's talk about this. How do we get to 270 delegates as a Democratic presidential candidate? Well, you want to select someone strategic, right? You don't want to go down this rabbit hole where you're going to select someone that is very well liked, but they're not going to bring anything to your ticket. So as Kamala Harris, being a black and Indian woman, she wants to select the plainest of white dudes possible, right? Now, fuck all of you that are going to say, hey, Steven, that's incorrect. Everybody should, be up for the option, right? But unfortunately, the dreams of Pete Buttigieg and Gretchen Whitmer and AOC are not coming to fruition this election, unfortunately, as much as I like a couple of those people. But let's see what happens when you get the whitest of white dudes. Let's start with Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. I think that with the recent Atlanta campaign and the amount of hype that Democrats are having across the board, I think it's likely that Georgia is swinging a little bit bluer these past couple of days. So is Georgia going to go with the Democrats? I think yes. Now, let's get this squared away. I still don't believe that Texas can be won, and I still don't believe that Florida can be won, really. As much as I have seen TikTok videos of people talking about Florida and Texas and how they might be in play, I don't see that becoming a reality. Governor Roy Cooper of North Carolina was also a possible presidential or vice presidential pick. Unfortunately, he dropped out of that race by saying, no, I don't want that position. And that's fine. You know, he's allowed to get that option. I don't think that Mark Kelly is now an option in Arizona. I do not believe the Democrats are willing to give up his Senate seat in the future. With already a thin and narrow margin, it's not surprising that he has kind of been looked at as a holder of that position rather than a real chance at being the vice presidential nominee. Tim Walz, what's he got? Well, workers like him, number one. So, with Tim Walz being on your vice presidential campaign, I think he wins back some of those voters who alternatively in Michigan would have been anti-Kamala Harris on the Israel-Palestine issue. Some of those workers are really going to want a strong vice presidential candidate that can possibly take over if Kamala Harris were to be killed, assassinated, step down, have a surgery in which she needs to recover for a long time. They want somebody on the left wing that is going to help them. They also want somebody on the left wing who is going to be that deciding vote in the Senate if it comes down to a 50-50 standoff, which it very well could be that way. We don't know, of course, and we won't know until November. So let's see. I think with Tim Walz on the ticket, Michigan goes fairly blue. And I'm not talking about 1 point blue. I'm not talking about 2 point blue. I'm saying upwards of 3 points for Michigan with Tim Walz on the ticket. Now, places like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, I think Kamala Harris stumbles a little bit because of, who she is. I don't think she gets that older voting populace in Wisconsin like Biden did for some reason. I guess it's because he is old. But we have seen in recent polls that his support from the old people has gone down with Kamala. Kamala Harris has lost some of that old person support, but she's gained in virtually every other category. That's pretty consistent, and it makes sense because older people might like an older candidate. Younger people probably like a younger candidate. Now, does that mean she's going to lose the state of Wisconsin? Does that mean she's going to lose the state of Pennsylvania? No, of course not. It doesn't mean that at all. What it does mean is, though, she's going to have to rely more on some of those younger voters, maybe even in rural counties, people that are learning about the world as they come up and realizing that, hey, maybe it's not such a bad idea to be gay. Hey, maybe it's not such a bad idea to not hate gay people. Hey, maybe it's not such a bad idea that black people can exist among the same populace as us. And frankly, if I'm being quite honest, I don't think that Trump taking away the the jobs in places like Madison and Milwaukee and Wisconsin is really going to favor him. He also insulted the entire city of Madison, if I remember that correctly. It may have been Milwaukee, one of the two. As for Wisconsin, I know that some of the northwestern counties, that sort of, as you go up northwest further into Wisconsin, it gets a little redder. The bottom is kind of blue. The suburbs of Chicago are a little bit blue. And, the northern places like, you got like Door County and things like that are going to go red, right? Actually, I don't know about Door, but some of those counties up there by Green Bay are going to go red. whatever. I do believe that Kamala Harris, if she got Tim Walz on the ticket, is going to win the state of Wisconsin. And that is going to be a narrower margin than Michigan just because of the ways that Michigan is a bluer state than its surrounding Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. As for Pennsylvania, this election is very odd. And I think, realistically, does she have a chance in Pennsylvania? Yes, of course she does, and I think she will win the state, but I think by super narrow margins. I think Pennsylvania will once again be the state that everybody is waiting for, waiting on Pennsylvania, waiting on Philadelphia, waiting on Pittsburgh. It happened in 2020. A lot of those Senate races that happen there, a lot of those representative races are always late in Pennsylvania, and it's always going to be that. So with Tim Walz, she's already won the presidency. Now, I think actually by choosing Tim Walz, she actually loses a bit of support in Nevada and Arizona. Those are a little bit more conservative places. You have a senator there like Mark Kelly, who, by all means, except for maybe NASA funding, is pretty much a conservative Dem or maybe a moderate Dem. And sometimes he's got some left-wing policies too, but that's to be expected. But do I think she's going to lose the state of Arizona because of that? No. I think she'll win it by very small margins. Now, however, for Nevada, Nevada actually went to Biden by a few more points, but I think that was that elder population we were talking about earlier, and with Tim Walz being the VP, he is a bit older, so perhaps he gains a few points there, maybe to even out Kamala Harris, but I think it's going to be by narrow margins. So I'm going to leave Nevada as a toss-up if it were Tim Walz as the VP candidate. Okay, let's move on to Josh Shapiro. Now, I'm going to specifically talk about these 6 states for all of these, because I think with North Carolina, Florida, Texas, it doesn't matter. I don't think those are going blue this election. I don't know why I've done this, but I've made New Hampshire a solid blue state. Let's just put it in that category. I don't think it's going to go to Republicans. I doubt it. It's not going to happen. It went to Biden by +7, if I remember correctly. Is it going to go to Kamala Harris by the same margins? Probable, right? Okay. Josh Shapiro. Like I've said, he's 1 year into his governing of Pennsylvania. He is to the right of Kamala Harris on Israel-Palestine. But he is well liked. He is well liked. Now, actually, by having him on the ticket, with his favorability being pretty high in Pennsylvania, I think Pennsylvania does go blue by a significant margin, bumping it up to maybe a likely category, as well as Michigan, I think. But Michigan maybe a little bit less if they have Josh Shapiro rather than Tim Walz because of the small but more expressive minority that is the Muslim population in Michigan. And that's fine. I understand their reasoning as to why they wouldn't maybe want Josh Shapiro on the tickets. He probably would be a supporter of funding Israel more. And, he did announce on Twitter a few days ago that he was in favor of a ceasefire immediately and all that. But that doesn't change, what he's said in the past. So who knows? But if they campaign hard enough there, I think Michigan is completely within grasp. I think they're going to win Michigan, and I honestly don't know if the VP pick matters too much in Michigan. That's just how I feel. But I could be wrong. I could be completely proven wrong. Josh Shapiro, I don't think will have an effect in Georgia, if I'm being honest. I don't think Georgia is going to matter who the VP pick is. None of the people that have been talked about in the VP candidacy matter in Georgia. None of them are going to affect that number in the slightest, except for maybe Andy Bashir, but even he is 2 states away. They don't identify with Kentucky there in Georgia. They don't. Now, I know there's a lot of people on Twitter and a lot of people on TikTok and stuff like that are saying, oh, he's got that southern drawl. It's not going to matter. However, I still do think they're going to win Georgia. I've said this earlier in this video. I think Georgia is looking good for Kamala Harris. Now, Josh Shapiro, he's a younger white dude. He's reminiscent of Mark Kelly. There's no reason that Arizona wouldn't vote for him. And Nevada, I think, it being a little bit of that older population, as I've said before, Nevada is, it's got Las Vegas. It's got a few other counties that are going to go blue. But it's not overall a really blue state. So who's to say with Nevada? Now, if they chose Josh Shapiro, I do think Wisconsin will go blue by a fairly significant margin, keeping it in line with Michigan. The Rust Belt sticks together, as they say. So even with this and Nevada being a toss-up, the Democrats still win. Now, am I insane for saying this? No, I don't think I am, but I'm sure the people in the comments of a few videos ago would beg to differ. So whatever. Nevada, I'm going to leave gray once more because I'm not so sure about Nevada. Like I said in the past, it's a weird state because not that many campaign events are going to happen there. However, I did just see that Kamala Harris was going to campaign there, so maybe it'll be something that's more interesting there in Nevada. We will see. It's yet to be seen exactly. And let's see, who else? Andy Bashir. Andy Bashir, I don't think he brings anything to the ticket. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of Bashir stands out there. There are a lot of Bashir-pilled people. That's fine. You can be Bashir-pilled. I like the guy. I think he's all right. Does he add anything to the ticket? Strategically? No. No, he does not. He is a very well-liked governor. That is so true. He is from Kentucky, a red state. So does that make him the right man for the job? Sure. And there's no problem with that. But does he strategically add anything? He's not from really the Midwest. He's not from a swing state. He's a well-liked governor, that's true. People like him. Could he add something to the presidential election? Maybe white suburban women? That could be it. And that's a great demographic to pull into the table. So if they select Andy Bashir as VP, I don't really know what's going to happen. But I do know that still I think Kamala will perform well in Michigan, and I still think she'll perform okay in Georgia. Andy Bashir, like they keep telling me, he might have some of that kind of cowboyishness to him that some of these voters are looking for maybe in the Southwest. So Arizona theoretically might like him. I mean, he's just a likable guy if you've listened to him speak before. So, it could happen that way. And I do think that Wisconsin would fall in line with Michigan again. And I think PA, Pennsylvania would probably do the same. Now, I know all of these, election predictions have been nearly the same every time with these VP choices. But I'm just going to say it. Some of them are going to win by bigger margins, and some of them are going to win by lesser margins. And it just kind of depends on your perspective. Now, me putting these, states in this gray area does not mean that Harris will win them. I just think they are likely, honestly, barely likely, to flip to her. Doesn't mean Trump can't win them. Yes. Let's talk about J.D. Vance for a minute. J.D. Vance is, oh my God. How do you select someone so terrible? The guy is just tanking Trump's scores. He is just hated. Like, oh my god, his polling numbers dropped. He was already unlikable. Like, he already had negative polling averages with his favorability. And now it's negative 15, negative 16, something like that. He's unlikable. So whoever Kamala Harris chooses a VP pick, it doesn't matter really. That's what I'm saying by this video. Now, let's talk about J.B. Pritzker, the only man that truly matters in this election that I would care for if he was VP, right? Because these other guys, I'm still voting for Kamala Harris. It's still happening. It doesn't matter what you think, what you believe in. I think a lot of people feel the exact same way with me. The VP pick used to make a lot more, noise everywhere. It used to. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all that. It makes a lot of noise. Not so much anymore, I don't think. People don't care who the vice president is too much. Too much. I mean, there's still some. And especially if you're in a swing state like Pennsylvania with Josh Shapiro. I think so. Who would make bigger noise than the big man himself, J.B. motherfucking Pritzker? Everybody loves him, okay? Everybody loves the guy, okay? This is a dude who came into Illinois bankrupt, disheveled, destroyed by the previous governor, Bruce Rauner. Fuck Bruce Rauner. J.B. Pritzker came in and fixed fucking everything. Conservatives like him. He fixed the financial crisis in fucking Illinois. He's a billionaire. Republicans might like that for some fucking reason, whatever that may be. Leftists like him. Liberals like him. Liberals like him because he oh my god. He's so good for unions in Illinois. He just today signed another workers' rights law. He has fixed our broken justice system in Illinois. He has freed a bunch. I believe somewhere in the range of 1,500. Or it's actually way more than that, I think. I don't remember the exact number, but he has released a lot of nonviolent drug offenders. He legalized marijuana in the state of Illinois. He has raised the minimum wage in the state of Illinois to $15 an hour as of this year or next year, something like that. He's just a really well-liked guy. And I know some of my politically interested friends in other states like the guy just because of how much I talk about him. He's fantastic. So, do I think Kamala Harris should select J.B. Pritzker as the VP from the state of Illinois? Kind of no, because I want to keep him here. He's done so much for my state. He just brought a factory to Illinois, a microtechnology factory to Illinois. He's just building up Illinois to be the greatest state in the next 5 years, hands down. So no, I kind of don't want him to be VP. But here's what I will say: if he was VP, these are the margins you're getting. This is it, okay? The Rust Belt is blue if J.B. Pritzker becomes VP. And I think Kamala, like I said, will win Georgia regardless. I more and more, I'm beginning to think Georgia is likely or lean Kamala Harris. As for Arizona, I think J.B. Pritzker is just such a likable dude that he'll carry her over the top. And for the first time in my election predictions for any of these VP candidates, I'm going to say with J.B. Pritzker, Nevada is going to be tilt for the Democrats, leading us to 303 versus 235. Now, I know, you're going to say it. Why the hell do you like J.B. Pritzker so much? If you don't want to listen to me, do not. I do not care. But here's what I will say. If you have even a shred of intelligence, even a shred, go look at J.B. Pritzker's policies. Go look at all of the things he's passed. Because I goddamn guarantee you, this is a Stephen motherfucking guarantee stamped on paper. He is the best governor in the entire United States. you cannot find a better politician, a better administrator, and honestly, probably a better person in politics. I would put him in the White House for as long as possible, which is 8 years, and I want to keep it that way. But I'm just saying, J.B. Pritzker, that's what we need. Thank you all, folks. Please like and subscribe, comment, share the video. If you want to keep this channel going, share it with your friends. I like doing these videos, but I don't like speaking to an empty audience. And I want you guys to comment. I want you guys to speak your minds below, even if they disagree with mine. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, like and subscribe. That's it. Goodbye.